Truth is making a comeback. America's Top Stories with Lisa K. Donner.
In the end, it was more of a blue night rather than a blue wave for the Democrats. Still, the left finally got what they wanted, and that is control. Control of something, anything. And so it will be the House, where the Dems will rule and reign for the next 2 years. Americans are well known for preferring divided government, so it will be fascinating to see whether the Democrats want to legislate a few burning issues in the bipartisan manner, or if they want to ratchet up the antipathy against the president and investigate with an eye on impeachment. Today we have a special roundtable of our top political analysts to discuss the fallout from the midterm elections. Joining me today are Joe Schaefer, Liberty Nation's national correspondent, and Graham J. Noble, our chief political correspondent and satirist. Welcome, gentlemen. Listening to Mitch McConnell today, I swear I almost heard a little bit of Schadenfreude, kind of a, well, this is what you wanted, now what you going to do with it. Do any of you sense that there is a bit of relief on the part of the GOP that they aren't the only ones who are large and in charge? What's your take on this, Graham?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really probably Democratic Party strategists will probably be possibly a little disappointed in the overall outcome of this midterm election. And I say that because on the one hand, you can say, well, you know, midterm elections are all about controlling legislative power. And of course, they did actually win control of the House of Representatives. So you got to give them that. But obviously, the scale of their win doesn't really warrant the term blue wave. I also think that they failed to capture the governorships of two very important states, Georgia and Florida. And I think that was probably a blow to them because they would have loved to have captured those two governorships. And of course, then actually losing seats to the Republicans in the Senate was not a desirable outcome for them either. So, you know, I think all in all, and of course, and now they're the top dogs in the House of Representatives. They can't sit back and simply blame the Republicans for everything now. They've actually got to do something. All of a sudden, they're in the spotlight, and the onus is on them to, to do something positive rather than just be, obstructionists as they have been. So all in all, I don't necessarily think the night turned out fabulously well for the Democrats, to be honest.
All right. Well, it's interesting that you say that because, Joe, I'm wondering, are the Democrats really going to get down to business and legislate, or are they going to do what they have long threatened, and that is to investigate? What's your take?
They're going to investigate because their goal is to obstruct. They want to obstruct Trump's agenda. And they're in a position now that they're going to be able to do that, unfortunately. I don't think you can spin this as a winning night for the Republicans. The Senate is more important than the House, but they wanted to keep that House majority. I thought they had a good chance of it. I wasn't sure. It wasn't the blue wave, that's for sure. I've written a lot about how the Democrats have become a self-marginalized party. I really believe that, which is why you see them not winning these statewide elections, losing these Senate races, the key governor races. But apparently they can still win congressional districts, being as self-marginalized as they are, appealing to a narrow base. And there's an awful lot of people in these urban and suburban areas that are electing Democrats. So we have divided government. And, it's fitting because we are a divided country.
Yeah, Graham, do you believe that this is really a calling card for the Democrats to go hard left maybe in 2020? You're a chief political satirist, and I would think you're going to have some fun with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, well, yeah, she's a godsend for anyone who enjoys a little humor, obviously. I mean, just great. But I think generally I tend to take a little bit of the opposite view. I think it is a point well taken that the left basically adopted the Obama's Iranian strategy, which was flying pallets of cash in, thinking that they were going to get the desired result. And of course, they also threw in Oprah there as well, and some other people, and of course Obama himself. So they really, they threw as much as they can at these races in the South, where these progressives are running, and yet they still failed. And so I think, yes, it's worth a note of caution saying, they came pretty close. All these races were close, and maybe they shouldn't have been that close. But I think, considering the time and effort and resources that the left put into these races in Georgia, in Texas, in Florida, and they still came up short in all of them, I think says a lot. And I'm not sure that, I believe that the Democrats will continue to go further left, because that's just the progression of their party, the ideological progression. But I don't think that is, I don't think it's going to be a winning strategy for them in 2020.
Joe, do you think we're looking at some bipartisan legislation on immigration or maybe health care? Do you see that in the tea leaves? I'm wondering if Americans are kind of talking out of both sides of their mouths. They say, we want to get things done, and then they vote for a House divided. Do you think this is effective democracy at work, or do you think this is because Americans really don't want to get anything done?
I just think it's the reality of what America is today. We are a House divided. We're a split nation. We're a divided nation. I don't think Democrats really want to work with Republicans, and I don't think Republicans can work with Democrats when they're so stridently partisan. So it's two fundamentally different worldviews on what kind of nation we're going to have. And I was hoping that there'd be some kind of consensus around Trump's populist nationalism growing more, but the House kind of refutes that, unfortunately. I hate to say that. There's still a big pushback on that. And so we have divided government. And you look at some of these results, none of the voting is surprising. The Democrats won in the urban areas. You look at Texas with Cruz. Beto O'Rourke's votes were San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Houston, very predictable. So we have, urban versus rural, it's more complex than that, but we're two different nations, and we're going to have to resolve this some way. It's almost, I don't want to use hyperbole, but it almost is a cold civil war. I hope it isn't that extreme, but I think we're pretty close to that.
All right, that's Joe Schaefer, Graham J. Noble, and you can find their fine articles on LibertyNation.com. Thank you all for joining me today on Truth is Making a Comeback.
Truth is making a comeback. Visit us at LibertyNation.com.